Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited and ready to be back. I did take a really long break from doing nails, but now I have tons and tons of footage for you guys. So I am excited to share everything. So let's get right into the video. First things first, we're gonna start with prep. Now, not too much prep work going on. Prior to me taking my break, I had already filmed this video. So there is a little bit of cuticle work to be done, but we're just gonna polish things up a little bit. So first things first was I pushed my cuticle back with my Stylix cuticle pusher. I love this cuticle pusher. I love the angle and how easy it is to push the cuticles back. It doesn't have like a weird hump or anything. It just perfectly fits in the nail plate. Next, I'm going to take my 240 Grit 4 Pro hand file. This is what you want to use on your natural nails. So whenever you're working with a natural nail, you want to use a 240 sanding band or a 240 hand file. If you're going to prep the nails for like a gel X application or acrylic, hard gel, whatever the case may be, like an enhancement, then you can use a 180 grit sanding band. But for the free edge, stick to a 240 grit. Next, I'm going to go in and start removing some of that dead skin from my nail plate. Now, I love to use a flame bit. The reason why I like to use a flame bit is because of the angle. It's very difficult to give yourself rings of fire using this bit. Now, that doesn't mean it can't be done. You can still do that, but because of the angle of the flame bit, using this bit, you're more concerned about pressure rather than angle, because if I were to angle it even just a little bit higher, not at a 45 but just like close to it, I still am gonna be okay because of, again, the angle of the flame bit. It doesn't have a hard sharp edge or anything like that, so I'll be okay. At this point, I'm more concerned about pressure, so we're just feathering away all of that dead skin. Now, when I use my bit, I love to use my e-file in forward first, and when I'm using it in forward, I'm going from right to left, starting in the center of the nail. I like to do it this way because it avoids me going over the same area multiple times, and doing that will also give you rings of fire. So just a nice little tip how I like to do my cuticle work. And then after this, I put the e-file in reverse, starting from the center again, and now working the opposite direction. This is a really, really good tip if you find yourself constantly having to go over the same area multiple times. Try doing it this way. That way you're only focusing on certain parts of the nail plate at a time. So right now I'm just gonna nip all of that dead skin around the cuticle area. You know it's dead because it's white. So if you're like, I can't tell what I'm supposed to be nipping, it's all white. All of that white stuff is supposed to be removed. Now, actually not supposed. In some, if you are a licensed nail tech, there are some states where you are actually not supposed to do this. So keep that in mind. But basically all of that white area is what you're going to be nipping. Now these nippers are really old. Honestly, they're not even sharp, but I recently got some nippers from Stolix and I love them. I love them so much because they're like ergonomically designed to fit the natural shape of your hand to avoid things like your hand cramping up or arthritis. You know, they design a lot of their tools and implements with that in mind so that we can have long, healthy nail tech careers. Now, unfortunately, I will not be linking that item down below or showing that to you guys for a while because like I said, I have so much content for you already filmed, prepared, and lined up to go that I like don't include that in the video for like a month from now. So I'm so sorry, but when that time comes, I will be very excited to show you guys my new cuticle nippers. Next, I'm gonna go in with my Macart Peel It Off base coat. You guys know that I stand by this Peel It Off base coat and I will die on that hill that it is a fantastic product if you are looking for a temporary nail design. You just apply one thin, even layer of the Peel It Off base coat, fully cured, and then you could do whatever you need to do on top of that. And when you're ready to take them off, you can just pop them off. They last about a week depending on what you're doing. So honestly, it's a great product. But right now, I am taking my Apres Extend Gel with my Una Gela Gel X tips. All of these products will be linked down below, but definitely check out my Amazon storefront because I have products that I love and stand by in my Amazon storefront that might not be shown in this particular nail tutorial. So be sure to check that out, and I will stop talking now so you guys can watch my Gel X application. Once I'm done with my Gel X application, I'm going to take that same 240 hand file by 4 Pro that I was using for my natural nail plate and just remove those little nicks and ticks that are on the edge of the Gel X tip. That way everything looks seamless and beautiful. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to take my purple Melody Susie carbide bit and start removing the bulk that's on this area of the Gel X tip. Now this is very important. You cannot skip this step if you want a natural looking nail, especially if you're just gonna put gel polish right on top of it. If you're gonna do something like hard gel or an overlay with like builder gel over your Gel X tip to smooth out that area, then you still want to do this step, but you don't have to go over it with a sanding band like I do. But it's just not as noticeable if you're gonna go in with builder gel or hard gel or something like that. But if you're just gonna go in with gel polish, you want to do this step because gel polish is so thin that you're gonna see that little hump from the nail plate, not the nail plate, the Gel X tip. So be sure when you're doing this, you want to keep that e-file and the bit as parallel to your natural nail as possible so that you're not digging into your natural nail, because that really hurts. So keep it as parallel to the natural nail as possible, and then you can do the next step, which is using the sanding band. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna go over that same area using my mini sanding band by Melody Susie. This is a 180 grit mini sanding band, and I'm using this at a speed of about 8,000 to 9,000 RPMs. When I'm using my carbide bit, I'm going at 10,000 RPMs. The reason I like to go over this area with my mini sanding band is just an extra precaution to make sure that this is as smooth as possible, because like I said, I'm just going over it with gel polish and it's really thin. Now, the other reason that I didn't mention why we do these steps is because we want these nails to last us. We don't want them to pop off tomorrow. So for longevity purposes, this is going to help with any lifting that might happen. The last thing that I like to do that's really like the nail in the coffin is I like to take some acetone and just go over that area to sort of melt away any of the lumps from the Gel X tip. And again, this is going to help with making them last, and this is going to make them look so much more natural and seamless with whatever products you plan on putting over them. To start the nail art, the first thing I'm going to do is go in with 2 coats of Springside by Apres. Now this is the base color that I use for the entire design, but when I'm doing my French lines, I actually end up doing the base part of the French and mapping that out with a gel polish instead of just covering the entirety of the nail. So I'm going to do that right here. And the reason I did this way is because the bottom portion of the French is actually going to be see-through. So if I cover the entire nail, obviously the nail wouldn't be see-through. So I just take some of the gel polish. I use the brush that comes in the bottle to sort of get like a rough outline of the base of the French, and then I go in with my 12mm nail art brush and I start really fine tuning the outline of that French. Here's what the nails are looking like so far after 2 coats of the Springside on each nail. Now the next thing I do is take this jelly brown like gel polish. This is by Goyi. This will be linked down below as well. This is in the color 2054. Now, if you guys notice, I totally forgot to clean the underneath the free edge of the nail, so I did clean that up. But this is a gorgeous jelly brown polish. The pack that I bought that I'm gonna link down below comes with like, I believe it's 5 or 6 gel polishes, and the shades of jelly brown are gorgeous. So I know that fall is like, it's not right around the corner, guys, but trust me, a month is gonna go by so fast, and then we're all gonna want these shades of browns and burgundies. So this is something that's really, really nice to keep in your nail stash. So I am using a gorgeous blue by Beetles. Now, when we're doing line work, one of the things that we want to keep in mind when doing thin line work, especially like a French, because we all want those crispy French lines, right? You want to keep as little product on your brush as possible. I'm using a 20 millimeter liner brush. Notice that I don't bombard the brush with product, right? It's just like halfway on the brush and all the way down to the tip because I can control that amount of product. We can't control lumps and lumps of gel polish or liner gel. So notice how my brush is also not like having blobs of product throughout the brush, right? It's the one even smooth coat throughout the brush, and this is going to be a lot easier for you to control rather than loading the brush up with product. The next thing that I did was take this orange by D&D. This one's called Orange. Actually, it's called Reset Orange. Don't quote me. It's Reset Orange, not Orange Reset. But I do 3 coats of this, and I only take it down to about halfway of the nail because the bottom portion of this nail is going to be like that alligator crocodile look with blooming gel. After the 3 coats of the orange on the top portion of the nail, I do 2 coats of the jelly brown, and then I take the Not Polish Blossom Gel. I do 1 super thin coat, and don't cure that coat, and then you take white gel polish and you just start dabbing it in the areas that you want this design to be. Now, if you notice that when you do a design like that, you lose control of it, it spreads too fast, I guarantee you there's a good chance that you're using too much of the blooming gel or the blossom gel. Every brand calls it a little something different, but you're probably using too much because that was a problem that I had. I was like thinking I'm applying a thin coat of the blooming gel or blossom gel, and it was actually too much. So that's one thing. Another thing that might be happening is you're putting too much product on the actual like design. So I chose white for this design, right? If you put too much product on the brush, when you touch down, by the time you go back up to that area to keep adding around it, it's already dispersed out too much because you put too much white down. So when you're doing something like that, you just want to use a little bit of product. Now, I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but this is actually not the Reset Orange from D&D. This is the color Taser from the Young Nails Mission Control Gel Paint. Now I'm going to take Makart's solid nail glue and just start rolling it out with my fingers on this little sheet of paper to get like a little snake, and then I start separating them with my silicone tool to roll them into 5 even balls. This is going to be for my flower. Now, I use this product all the time. I actually just got a new bottle and I'll show you like the empty one compared to the new one in a couple of videos, because I know I always say like I use this product all the time. I really do. Like I will show you the empty bottle very, very soon. So what you're gonna do with those 5 little balls that you rolled out, those are gonna be our petals. You're gonna put them evenly where you want them to go on the nail. And then you're gonna take a silicone tool and just start dragging out the center to form that petal. Once you kind of start dragging out the center, then you can sort of open the petal with your silicone tool using the edges and start shaping and molding it however you want. There's so many different ways you can form the flower. You don't have to do it this way. And honestly, I'm still learning how to do this. I am not very good at this, at least I don't think so. I have found myself continuously watching videos on different ways that I can form really cute flowers, but it's really tricky, guys. I gotta admit, I'm not the best at this at all, but this is just what I have learned to do thus far and what works for me. Once I like how the flower is looking, then I take that same blue gel polish by Beetles and I start filling in the petals. Now, a couple of things when you do this design this way. Start with a little bit, because what happens is once that gel polish starts reaching the edges of the petal, it sort of just floods overboard and it does not look cute and it is a mess to clean up. So I actually made that mistake and I don't show it, but I'm telling you, don't do that. Fill the petals in one by one, get them as close to the edge as possible, but don't worry about covering the sides because you won't even be able to tell that you didn't get the sides, not in the photos, not in the videos, nothing. So don't worry so much about the sides, worry about the very top of that petal. And then when you're done with the one petal, cure it. Don't try to do all 5 because the gel polish will move. Because remember, we're not putting this polish on a flat surface. We're putting it on a very smooth, uneven surface. So however you lay the polish, eventually by the time you get to that 5th petal, the first petal you did will just shape shift everywhere and move everywhere, and then you'll have uneven see-through gaps in the product. Trust me, it's a big mess. So do this one petal at a time. The next thing I'm going to do is take some ombre padding gel. I'll link this product down below. It comes with a bunch of colors. It even comes with the little mini sponge. And you're just going to take that product and start dabbing it in the center to create an ombre effect for our flower. I do this a couple of times. You don't have to do this as many times as me. I think I did this like 4 times just to really make that white inner portion stand out, but you could do this as many times as you'd like. And then I take that white liner gel from Nails by Dev and I start outlining the edges of the flower. And then the very last thing I do is take some caviar beads with some rhinestone glue and I put that in the very center. After I did my 3D design in the center of the nail, I am taking some black gel polish by Beetles and putting that over the 3D portion of this design. Again, I'm not concerned so much with getting right down to the inner corners of this 3D design because it's going to be covered in chrome. And look, you guys really can't even see that I didn't get the bottom, because what happens is if you try to get really, really close to where the 3D design and the nail meet, you actually flood that area and it doesn't look as clean. So I cure my nail after I put the black gel polish on it. I cure it in the lamp for about 45 seconds and then I add my chrome on top. Now for my ring finger and my thumb, I am using the Nails by Dove white liner gel again, and notice how I'm not flooding the brush with product. There's a nice even layer of product from the tip of the brush all the way through to the bottom, and I like it this way just because I know that this is the amount of product that I can control. So you don't want no like blobs of product floating up and down the brush. The very last thing that I do to really finish off this design is take Macart sculpted gel paint, and the way I use it for this particular like method or design is I will literally just blob my brush into the product, and when I pull it out it forms this like bulb of like I don't know how else to say it. There's just like this massive clump of product at the very tip of my brush, and that's what I'm using to make these little swirl bubbles. I like to do this every single time for each individual bubble. Now this only works if you have a full jar, so eventually I start running out of this product like really empty, and there's nothing for me to dip my brush into. So this is another one of those products that you'll see I show you. There's a super empty jar and a brand new jar that I cannot wait to use because I use this all the time. To finish off the design, I added some glossy top coat and paired it with a couple of gold rings, and she's giving summer. It is absolutely gorgeous. I love the brown against the blue. Ugh, I love it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making this design. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.